Hi guys, so there's just one more type of statistics question that you might see in the future. Now we're going to go over three questions and they're all very similar. So if you get the hang of it the first time, then you're good to go. So we're going to assume that in a class we have four tests, and those four tests make up the overall average. We're going to say that you scored an 88, 92, and 87 on the first three science tests. What score do you need on your fourth test to have an overall average of 90? You want to write an equation and solve. So we are going to take all four of those tests, the first test, second test, third test, and fourth test. And we're going to divide it by the fact that there are four tests. We want all of that to add up to get 90. Now, I actually know the scores of those tests, so I can actually put numbers in their place. So we got an 88 on the first test. We have a 92 on the second. We have an 87 on the third, and we don't know what the fourth one is, but that's okay. We just let it be X. Now in this time, you can go straight to multiplying both sides by 4. And if you want to see why we're multiplying both sides by 4, just put this 90 over 1. All numbers can be put over 1 to create a fraction. And when we do that, we can cross multiply. I like to call it the butterfly method. And this is why we're multiplying both sides by 4. 4 gets multiplied by 90. And then this whole numerator, 88 plus 92 plus 87 plus x, gets multiplied by 1. Anything getting multiplied by 1 is just itself. So I'm just going to rewrite that exactly as it is. And now you can use a calculator or you could do it off to the side. We're going to do 90 times 4 and we get 360. Okay, at this time, we can figure out what all of this combined is. So we're going to type this into your calculator. It's possible this might be on the calculator inactive section. And if it is, it's going to be easy numbers for you to work with. But when you type it in, we get 267. And we still have to do plus x equals 360. Now we want to get the x by itself, so I like to circle it. And the way to get rid of the plus 267 is do the opposite of plus, and that's to subtract it. It's the inverse operation, so that this forms a 0. And now we do 360 minus 267, and we get a 93. So x is equal to 93. And that's our answer. We have to get a 93% on the fourth test. If you want to double check your work, let me pick a different color. But if you want to double check your work, you can add up all of these numbers again. 88 plus 92 plus 87 plus 93. Divide it by 4. Oh, I forgot a plus sign. Divide it by 4 and make sure you really do get a 90% when you find the average, and you will. And so you know you got the correct answer. Good. Next problem. So in this case, it's the same type of problem, but now we're going to have 5 tests, and we want to have an average of 85. So our first 4 tests are 78 plus 80 plus 85 plus 92. And we don't know what our 5th test is, but we know that we have 5 tests, so we divide it by 5. It's different from the previous problem because the previous one had 4 tests, and that's why we divided it by 4. And we want an overall average of an 85. So you either do the math off to the side or type it into your calculator. 78 plus 80 plus 85 plus 92, and we get 335. And we still have that plus x. It's still divided by 5, and it's going to equal 85. Now at this point, we're going to multiply both sides by 5 in order to get rid of that denominator. And if you wanted to see the work, then you can do that butterfly method where you put 85 over 1. So this now forms a 1, and we're left with, let's see, I'll come up here, 335 plus x, and then 85 times 5, I'm typing in my calculator, is 425. Okay, at this step, we now want to get x by itself, so we subtract this 335 from both sides, and we get 90. So we now know that x is equal to 90. You have to get a 90 on your 5th test in order to have an 85 average overall. Now, some classes are going to be a little different. I wouldn't necessarily do this exactly for the current math class that you're in because we have homework and quizzes that you have to keep into play. This is just if you only have tests to make up your final score. It's a few more steps if you have more going on, like quizzes and homework, but it's still the same concept. Okay, last question. We have 5 tests again. You make a 90, 99, 98, and 80 on your first 4. And the question's a little different here. It's now, is it possible? And so this is a yes or no answer. Is it possible for you to take your 5th test and have an overall average of a 95? So we're still going to set it up and solve it the same way. We have a 90 plus 99 plus 98 plus 80 plus our 5th test that we don't know. We have 5 tests, so we have to divide it by 5. And we want to see, is it possible to get an x value that's legitimate in order to get a 95 in the class? We're going to combine our like terms. So we do 90 plus 99 plus 98 plus 80. We get 367 plus x divided by 5 equals 95. Multiply both sides by 5 so that this forms a 1. And we have 367 plus x equals 95 times 5 to get 475. And now we want to get this x value by itself. So we subtract 367 from both sides. And we get a 108. So you'd have to make 108% on that last social studies test in order to get a 95 in the class. And we don't offer extra credit past 100, so that really would not be possible. So the answer here is unfortunately no, you can't get a 95 in the class. All right, I hope this was helpful, and please let me know if you have any questions.